But I believe that by overwhelming majority, you and I, in the long run, and if it be necessary, you and I will act together to protect, to defend, by every means at our command.
So, why do people believe Stonehenge is fake? It's a good question, and it's because of the images you see on the screen now. Yep, that's right, this is taken as Stonehenge being fake. Now, this is in the 50s, that's 1950s, Stonehenge got restored. It's this period some people claim is when Stonehenge was built. And here's a cement truck. Now, if you didn't know the context and took the face value of the photos, it does look like it's getting built. But that's when you take things out of context. Here's a few more images. So you can see it does look, if you didn't know any better, it's getting built in the 1950s. Here's the 8-year-old boy looking over plans. So it does look scaffolding, people at work on top of the stones. This is a famous image, and like I'm saying on the screen, and we all know this famous image does look like it's been made. Well, this is that stone before it got filled in with cement. And as you can see, people are sitting in. This is in the 1950s again. And part of that restoration, I think this was a year before the restoration. And as you can see on the screen, this is the guy tooled with filling the concrete in. So if Stonehenge was built in the 50s, like some people believe, how is it possible we have these? So you're looking at a screen here. This is Merlin and a giant building Stonehenge. It's from a verse, I believe, of Wes Roman de Brute. It was copied in 1338 to 1340. How is that possible? It's showing you Stonehenge being built. These are the questions I just want to ask people who believe Stonehenge was built in 1950s. It's a plausible question. People would be commenting now below saying it's fake, it's fake. Again, what we're seeing here is a drawing of Stonehenge found in 1440 manuscript. The Scala Mundi. That is Stonehenge. You could say, oh, it's just another henge. Possibly. Rather looks like Stonehenge to me. And what we're seeing on screen is a watercolour. This is the earliest near accurate depiction of Stonehenge in the form of a watercolour sketch done on the spot by a person called Lucas de Heer in 1534 to 50, and he died in 1584. So you can see watercolour of it in the 1500s. How is that possible if it was only built in the 50s? Here we have it again appearing in a 17th century depiction from the Atlas van Loon, 17th century. So, you know, when we look at things objectively, you're saying, how can that be possible if it was built in the 50s? That's what I want to know for the people who don't believe. So, if it was built in the 50s, how can we find images and paintings dating back throughout his story? Now, you just have to research and you find all this evidence to support it's not just being built in the 1950s. Now, some people will say these are fakes and were made to support it's fake his story, which again we know people will say. So I will say if it's built in the 50s, oops, Stonehenge in 1920 getting restored. That doesn't go to the plan. So again, is it the 50s it was built, or was it built in 1920? I've got images and photographs here. So we can't have it both ways. We can't say it's built in the 50s because we've got photographic evidence. Well, I've got photographic evidence here from the 1920s. If one's fake, it's all got to be fake. So I'm just going to read out from this page that you were just seeing. And I just want to show you guys a little bit more detail on it. Right, flockers, the images that I've just showed you in regard to the 1920 restoration here, I want to show you, and you can see on screen where I've got the information from. It just makes you think, doesn't it? A lot of people are claiming that Stonehenge was built in the 50s, 57, 58, in fact, because they saw the pictures out of context. Now, if it was built in the 50s, why are they here on that site in the 1920s? Or is this just more fake photographs? If this is fake photographs, why the 1950 one's not fake photographs? We can't say everything's fake just because it doesn't fit an agenda. I'm just showing you what I found. It's not hard to find. It's all information. So why is it being put out there that it was built in the 50s? And that's what you've got to ask yourself. So as you can see, lintel ready for lifting, lintel being lowered. So these are some of the images, and here are two more press cuttings reporting the start of the excavations and restorations at Stonehenge, directed by William Hawley in 1919 and 1920. A lot happened in those first few months of what became a project lasting years. Stones 6 and 7 in the outer circle were set in concrete. So there we go, even more proof that they have concreted some of the stones. After the pits had been excavated and the lintel was secured with lead seals, the Aubrey holes were discovered, sections of the ditch were excavated, and the newfound origin of blue stones in Pembrokeshire were announced after petrographer H. Thomas had examined pieces of stone from the digs. So you can just see, is it controversial? Yes, it is. Is there more going on there? Yes, there is. This point of the video is just to show you that mainly it wasn't built in the 50s, but there is a lot of questions and answers Why didn't he just leave them alone? And that's the big question. So these are 2 press cuttings because of the wonderful stuff people are doing these days. We're working up with analog, but he changes his name that many times, but he uses a lot of this stuff, and this has been shown you on the site. So this talks about restoring Stonehenge, sloping stones being put straight. It was foretold that after the nation became the owners of Stonehenge, work to straighten the sloping stones would soon be taken into hand. From an account written by a special correspondent of the Times, it appears that the operations have been commenced. He says, anybody who comes to Stonehenge just now in a fortunate hour may see a wonderful sight. He may see the lintel stone of one of the mighty trithelons swaying in timbers and gripped in the clutches of a crane, dangling in mid-air over its 2 pillars. Then gently it sinks back to its place, where till now it has rested undisturbed for nearly 4,000 years. This is not the first time that work of this kind has been done on Stonehenge. 19 years ago, the great stone of them all, the splendid survivor of the great Trithelon, was leaning even more dangerously and must some day have crashed down by the side of its prostrate brother that lies in 2 pieces on the turf, broken at the heart. This leaning once was set upright again, and now the Office of Works, in association with the Society of Antiquaries, or Quarries, that's a new name I've not seen before, is restoring to a position of safety other of the stones that are in danger. One need not to be very bigoted conservative to feel, on first hearing of them, some mistrust of such operations. On the other hand, when once one has been to Stonehenge to see the work, one would have to be very bigoted indeed to deny that it's really necessary and it's been done reverently, with carefully, with a determination neither to add or subtract anything, lifting the stones. At the present moment, only one of the outer circle of trithelons was in one of the gateways made by the 2 standing monoliths, with the lintel or transverse stone on the top, has been restored to safety, and the work is not yet quite finished. It is, however, typical of that which will be done in the other cases, and so many be described in some detail. The lintels of the outer ring made originally a perfect circle. This is fact hardly to be perceived from the ground, and one can only see the curves properly by climbing up a ladder, feeling just a little brave and dizzy in doing it. And so, looking sideways along the worn faces, those trilithons that will still remain in practically perfect position gave a basis for calculation, so that it is possible to restore the leaning stones with very considerable accuracy to their original angles. That angle having been determined, the leaning stone is first of all packed or cradled in big bolts of timber, tied together with bolts. It is further padded with felt and wedges so that all possible strain may be removed. Next, it is shored up with wooden struts, and these in turn are secured to a framework of steel joists. The stone being made fast, excavations are made round its basis, which is thus laid bare. The base, as a rule comparatively tapering in shape, is found packed round with boulders which are preserved and numbered with scrupulous care. Finally, when the stone is held in position purely by mechanical means and the lintel has been lifted off by the crane, big jacks begin with infinite caution to move the stones. Slowly it comes up, moving by inches of a time, still till after more than 2 hours it has reached its right position. It is given a foundation of reinforced concrete in place of the old packing of boulders, great care being taken not to disturb the shape of the original hole made by the stone. The concrete is turfed over, and thus nobody is a penny the worse or the wiser. Meanwhile, the lintel has been dropped in position, but it must be removed a second time for a particular purpose, I think it is. So you can just see they've talked about how in 1919, 1920 even more restoration was done 20 years before, so that would have been 1900. So, and even talk of concrete again. So that point when you're talking about how much of it originally is left is the question we have to ask. How many of the original stones? What were the original stones made of? Were they stones? Because so much has been tampered with in restorations that we just do not know. And that is the real crux of the story or the problem. Right, I'll read this last bit out for you. I'm not the best reader because obviously you know I have problems reading, but I will do my best for you guys. So each lintel rests them more securely on its supporting monoliths by means of a system of tenons and mortises. These were rudely made at best and have been worn by time. Plaster casts of them are made and the tenons are crowned with caps of lead so that they may fit closely into the mortises. Then the lintel comes down for the last time, and the tenons with their leaden caps disappear from view for another 3,700 years. A good deal of time and labour has already been devoted to this one triflon. Several other monoliths are sloping perilously, and in some cases the lintels seem to be poised with but a very small margin of safety, so that one can imagine some malevolent giant coming by in night and blowing them over with a sly puff. In all these cases, the straightening process will be undertaken. As to what acts of restoration are not legitimate, the Office of Works has, roughly speaking, the rule of conduct that there is a distinct record showing when a stone fell. It may properly be restored. When it has been prone beyond time of records, then it should lie there forever. While the big stones are being straightened, something still more exciting is happening at Stonehenge. Just inside the ditch, the now scarcely visible earthwork that surrounds the stones, there has been discovered a circle of holes in the chalk, and that means very likely that once upon a time there were an outer circle of stones in all of these holes, which are considered considerably size, have been found charred human bones, bits of burnt animals' bones, or a single tine of stag's horn. There, however, is a number of unburnt fragments of animal bones. And then the headline, a touch of romance. There is a touch of what might call methodical romance about the way in which these holes were discovered. Aubrey's map, made in 1666, I'll have to see if I can find that, showed in approximately the positions of these newly found stone holes. This is 1666, the Great Fire of London, if I remember. These days off by head. The position of these newly found holes, a series of depressions in the turf which had certainly disappeared before the present day. In one of these depressions there was shown a single stone which had vanished, long since stolen for a gatepost perhaps by some iconoclast of a Wiltshire farmer. Taking the old map as a clue, the explorers went forth, armed with a heavy steel bar pointed at the end. With this they patiently speared the turf root by foot like stony durdles, tapping with a hammer for the old ones in the crypt of Cloisterham. Prodding, but hard chalk. Another prod, the bar went through, and there was one of the holes. The range was soon found, and in interval of 6 or 7 paces between each, and now almost the whole circle of holes is exposed. This detached stone, well known in the slaughtering stone as the slaughtering stone, which lies in line with the Healy stone, appears to fit almost exactly in the place in the new circle. Whether it is the last survivor or an outer circle of stones, whether this outer ring was coeval with Avery or Avebury, I can't pronounce it even though I used to not live far from there, I was younger, and was made before Stonehenge itself existed. Here are questions that is too early for the learned to answer. The sightseer can only timidly suggest them, but the thrill of discovery is wonderful and infectious. The car takes one back across the plain, past the hideous hangars and huts and rusty railroads, relics of the war, back to the modern civilization. It is hard not to feel an ache or envy of those lonely discoveries left behind, with the shirt sleeves, the broken nails, the pipes in the open air, washed by the rains of the plain, burnt by its sun, with minds intent and happy. They sieve, and then they sieve again that black and historic earth. So you can just see they're two articles from 1919, I believe, of this, and it just shows you. And they even talks in that of an early excavation. And as you see, you got even more articles here, and I'll read them out for you now, guys. Right, here's another one that I was just mentioning I was going to read out, and I'll make it bigger like last time so you can try and read. There's only so much you can zoom in, isn't there? So this is Stonehenge again. It is drawn on in 1921 or 6, who knows. It does look like 1920 and then scratched out the 1921. It says Secrets of the Past. So the first number of the Antiquaries Journal, Oxford University Press, etc., contains the interim report by Lieutenant Colonel W. Hawley, FSA, upon the first part of the exploration of Stonehenge, undertaken last season by the Society of Antiquaries with the sanction of the HM, Her Majesty's, whoever at the time, I think it was a him, Office at Works. Valuable discoveries were made during the work, which adds very considerable to the exact knowledge concerning the ancient monument. Preparations were begun in September 1919, but were much retarded owing to difficulties of transport and the delay in erecting 2 huts and the assembly of the large equipment necessary. It was not until the end of the year that work was actually begun. So they just had problems even getting huts and equipment there. So you can just see, it's just ironic, isn't it? So, how the monument was erected. Mention is made by Colonel Hawley of the excavation of some prop holes beyond the outer circle, which gave an idea of the state of the soil about the monument, and which resulted in finds of sarsen chips, pieces of foreign stone or bluestone, fragments of bone, 7 of Bronze Age and 4 of Roman British pottery. There's the 11. And 6 rough pieces of flint, showing signs of working. Similar discoveries were made at other spots and included a small third brass of Tetricus, almost illegible. Colonel Hawley describes in an interesting manner the important work of restoring to the original position stones numbers 6 and 7 on the south side of the outer circle, which had been propped up for a long time and appeared to be most in need of attention. How the stones were protected and the lintel weighing between 6 and 7 tons, encased in a tiny cradle and protected with felt, was restored to its proper position, makes good reading. The work afforded evidence of the original erection of Stonehenge. Let's just move it down. Referring to stone number 7, Colonel Hawley says, the stone, in common with the rest of the outer circle, was erected from the outside. It was slid down the incline we noticed until its base was just over the hole. It was then drawn upright against the prop behind and held by four guys with ropes. Posts were then driven into the ground in the front, held perhaps by wooden balks at the side of the back, where the chalk rock rose higher. The stone would perhaps be not far out of its required position, and the particular shape given to the foot would enable the workmen to adjust it by inch. Then packing blocks would be securely wedged around it. The protecting post would have to have been dealt with. To extract them would shake and disturb the stone. To leave them would result in the rotting and leaving empty cavities, which would have loosened the soil later on. So they were burned, and all interstices filled in with clay rubbish, over which came other rubble we found well rammed in. reliability of metal finds. This is the intriguing thing, and it does, like I said, the question to me is, it's not when it was built. It's, well, that is a good question, obviously, but it wasn't built in the 50s, because we see evidence here. Now, whether you believe that and believe it's all fake, and just because you want to believe an agenda, there is an agenda going on here. You can quite see it. I'm not slating any theories that people have. I'm just showing you the fact that everything looks dodgy, but it wasn't 1957 or 8 when it was built. It seems to be a lot of dodgy stuff been going on about so-called restoration on this site for a while. Now it says, while describing the finds resulting from the excavations, Colonel Hawley mentioned the discovery of a farthing, and I'll put it on the screen, of George III. It doesn't tell you what series or when it came out, because King George reigned from 1760 to 1820. It's funny that's George in it, because I've not long done the video on George. For anyone who's not watched it because the title doesn't attract you, watch it, guys. It'll blow your minds. And you flockers out there with keen eyes would notice the date. Look at the date on the farthing, J77J. Obviously, are they saying it's 1771? But I've showed you what the J represents. J in iron coins represents Janos, the J, and in Latin it's Ionos. He's in charge of the calendar, the date. I keep showing you this, people keep ignoring it, but hey, what can we do? So that's an intriguing little thing on it, the little date of J77J, just more intrigue to the question about Stonehenge. So it says, a farthing found of King George III, it's on the screen, now some 3 or 4 feet below the surface. And that's intriguing. Why is it? Because it's only ranged from 1760 to 1820. Has there been more work? Because obviously we're going off what we can find on evidence. I'm not stating it was born and it was erected in this time, this time, and this time. We can just go off documents. If one is fake, they all have to be fake. We can't pick and choose the validity of each one, because we're only looking at face value. You know what I mean? So something doesn't sit right. And this is talking about a coin found 3 feet below. Now it does give an explanation, but do you believe this? So some 3 or 4 feet below the surface and near one of the stones being dealt with. This coin, when lost, had probably fallen close to the stone. The stones become heated by the sun, causing the soil to recede sufficiently to allow a small object to drop a considerable distance. The recurrence of this year after year, assisted by long droughts and other factors of movement, cause small things to descend to low levels and shows what reliance can be placed on small metal finds. Stones 6 and 7 were restored in the original position upon 3 feet. Bed or reinforced concrete, again using the reinforced concrete, that's why there's a lot of it, and rightly so. People are seeing this concrete and going, what the fuck? They're saying they're using it for restoration purposes to keep these stones up. If they're having trouble keeping these stones up, what does that tell you? They haven't got the technology to actually do this. So if it's from a more advanced people to the working of stone, that is. So it descends to low levels. Stones 6 and 7 were stored in the original position, bed and reinforced concrete, and then the lintel was slung up and lowered upon them. So carefully had all the measurements been made, had the lintel needed very little adjustment. So let's go to the other side. Upon the plan of Stonehenge made by Aubrey in 1666, which you've seen already, certain depressions or cavities or intervals within the circular earthwork were marked. None of them were visible to the present day excavations, but with a steel bar they searched for and found one, and subsequently more, all apparently at regular intervals around the earthwork. It occurred to us, writes Colonel Hawley, that there might be intermediate cavities, and excavation showed them to be at regular intervals of 16 feet, with the exception of 2 on the southeast side, which are a little closer together. To these we have given the name of Aubrey holes to distinguish them from others that may hereafter be found. And as a compliment to our respected pioneer who left such a useful record, there can be a little doubt that once held small upright stones for in a case at least a portion of the excavated chalk appears to have been returned, as if the hole had been too deeply dug to suit the intended height of the stone. Among the discoveries resulting from the excavation of the Aubrey holes were cremated bones. And the heading in the middle is Cunnington's bottle of wine. After detailing a small investigation of the ditch and rampart, Colonel Hawley refers to the amusing incident of the discovery of a bottle of wine left by a previous excavator near the slaughter stone. So there we go. You know, there's excavation after excavation has been done at this. In dealing with the slaughter stone, we already knew that Cunnington had examined it in 1801. So we thought it was best to remove his spoil from around it and get further information. We found a cavity for about 3 to 4 feet around the stone, evidently his work, but one could see that the stone had been buried earlier in a pit, very roughly dug in a solid chalk and just deep enough to allow the soil to cover it in ground level. Perhaps the intention had been to bury it deeper, but the hole was not made long enough. Consequently, the top and bottom rest of the sloping chalk caused a void about 10 inches under it. This void was filled with dirty rubble containing much modern rubbish, evidently returning to Cunnington. There could be little doubt about this, as we found a bottle of port wine left under one stone, presumably by him out of consideration for future excavators. The seal was intact, but the cork had decayed and left out nearly all the contents. I should have mentioned that those who dug the pit cut into an Aubrey hole on the west close to the stone, but fortunately 3 parts escaped and it was still well defined. It was one of Cunnington's spoils, so he certainly emptied it and might have been responsible for the damaged side. The report is accompanied by an appendix by Mr. C.R. Pears, Secretary, on the method adopted for setting leaning stones upright, and some excellent illustrations. There are several of her papers by experts in the journal which should make a wide appeal to antiquaries and the general public interested in antiquarian matters. So you can see that more and more you're reading into this, your eyebrows are going, something doesn't feel right. I'm learning more and more about it that I didn't even know. Now we're talking about finding a 100-year-old bottle hidden under a stone for the next excavators. It seems to be a lot of excavations, put your 2 fingers up, exclamation mark, going on at this. And it just makes you want to think, I'm like this, when is this original date? Because obviously we're looking at pictures that show it's been around from the 12th at least. We don't know. I always tell you, just use it as information, and a lot of this information is contradictory but also eye-opening, and as you can see, it's very eye-opening. Now I want to show you a little bit. I'm not going to read it all because it's a book, but it's an interesting read, and what I'll do is I will put this in the link in the description, guys, so please check it out. Now most of you guys know, who just listened to me reading out them 2 articles, will come to the same conclusion as me. How can a wine bottle be laid under a rock and left for future excavations? I think it's dodgy. And a coin. Them coins were left in situ where they were left, and as you can see, from situ means it's the original place where it was dropped in the appropriate position. I believe, though, if people are talking about when it was built, contrary to what I've showed you in the video so far, because like I say, I use it as information, so when you find more information it makes you think, that's when you have to just look at the information. So that's what I've done. So I've listened to that information and read it out, and you guys have listened to what I read. And a coin fell down a crack and then went under the ground. And remember, that coin was has to be at least 1760 to 1820, and then it talked about another excavation in 1800 where they found a bottle of wine. So in theory, those coin could have been dropped at that excavation. Possibly that's what I'm also saying. But I also have to look at the flip side and think, if people believe, and I'm going to talk about this later in a rumour that people who lived around the area were talking about, I'll get into that later, but if Stonehenge was built or moved to the current location in the 1800s, there is evidence for that, meaning a coin dropped 3 feet under, and also the wine bottle under the stone, which could also mean excavations were happening on that site and it was dropped then and put there purposely, or it was when the stones were moved there from another location. That's just what the evidence is saying to me. It's either one or the other, that, you know, they were people restoring it, or that's when the stones were put there from another location. Right, guys? Right, flockers, here's this book, or not evidence I was talking about before, but it's intriguing, and it was a book on Stonehenge, and I want to put the ebook link in the description, so please go to there, because I can't read it all out. It's just vast, and the video will be hours and I'll be hardly able to speak. So the title of the book is Stonehenge Today and Yesterday by Frank Stevens, curator of the Salisbury Museum, with plans and illustrations by Haywood Summer. Now, this book was done in 1916. So again, you will have people saying that it's a fake, it's his story. Where do we go? Every evidence we have to treat as information, and that's what I do. I don't get triggered. I have a feeling, an affinity with Stonehenge, but already in the video I've showed you that could it have possibly been built in the 18th century or moved? That's what the locals around the area were talking about, and I'm going to get into that later on, but I just wanted to show you this book before I forget, and I'll go through it quickly, showing you a few points, and then I'll obviously put the link in the description for you so you can have a look. It's a really good read, and it just shows you about Stonehenge according to these, 1916. So I will quickly read the foreword out for you. The interest that has always attached itself to Stonehenge has without doubt been in great measure due to the mystery as to the origin of the unique monument of bygone time, but the careful investigations carried out by the modern school of archaeologists, as instance in the work of General Pitt Rivers, Mr. Gowland and others, every excavation being carried out with great care and scientific accuracy, have had good results. Little by little, the history of Stonehenge has been unravelled, a fact that Mr. Stevens has clearly demonstrated in the present volume. We now know when and who built the remarkable temple. One point, however, still remains a mystery. It says, viz. Whence the so-called foreign stones were obtained, clearly, as geology shows, from no spot in Wiltshire. Amongst the many rude stone circles scattered over Britain, Stonehenge is unique in the fact of having its sarsen stones carefully, though roughly worked, and also in introduction of the horseshoe within the circle, in the design of the plan of the building. As the present day, our churches in the design symbolise the cross, so we may fairly infer that the horseshoe or Stonehenge has its own special meaning, as it still has in the East. I would advise to all interested in the subject, after reading Mrs. Stevens' lucid and comprehensive account, to visit the weird monument and judge for themselves. Take Omar's sound advice. Today, view the dead yesterday, were it not for the unborn tomorrow. So that's by H.P. Blackmore, March the 1st, 1916. So we just basically go through what you can expect in this ebook. And the first image that you will see is Stonehenge today looking west, and it's just full of these type of images, so you can take it for granted. When do you actually believe it was built? And that is the question, because what I'll be showing later on is, like I said, the rumour was that there was a super henge that dwarfed Stonehenge not too far away, and some believe the stones were taken there in the 18th century. And obviously I've just showed you the evidence that could be, because there's a lot of excavations going on at Stonehenge. Or were they something else? Were they restoring it? Were they making it? Because when we look at archaeology, we've all seen the images of when before they came in and after, and it was nothing like they did because they dressed the stones, etc., etc. So we have to just be honest and upfront as much as we can. So as you can see, it just goes through Stonehenge today and yesterday, summarised, useful facts for the attention of the visitors. That's obviously the people reading the book. It says when and whom Stonehenge was built. Stonehenge was erected after the year 1700. It was built by a race of men who had only a slight knowledge of use of bronze and no knowledge of iron. And all these things, you can just take it, don't get triggered. This is just the agenda, what they were pushing in this book. A circular earthwork, 300 feet in diameter, an avenue bounded by earthworks approaching it on the northeast, one large unworked sarsen stone called the Healy Stone or Friar's Heel, a recumbent slab within the earthwork called the Slaughter Stone, two small sarsens lying northwest and southeast of the circles, a ring of hewn sarsen stones with imposts or lintels mortised to them. The lintels are fitted together with toggle joints. 16 out of the original 30 uprights of these trithelons are now standing. The diameter of the circle is about 108 feet, or that of the dome of St. Paul. A ring of less perfectly hewn foreign stones, i.e. stones not to be found in Wiltshire at the present day. These number between 30 and 40, only 7 are standing today, 9 are overthrown. 5 great trithelons arranged in a horseshoe within the opening to the northeast. The trithelons rise gradually in height towards the southwest. The largest group of stones fell AD 1620. Those next to the Great Trithelon on the northwest fell on January the 3rd, 1797. Today, the 2 of the inner trithelons are standing. One of the upright of the Great Trithelon, raised and made in 1901, or raised and made secure in 1901. Is erect. A horseshoe of less perfectly hewn foreign stone. Originally there were 15 or more. These monoliths averaging 8 feet high. A simple recumbent slab of micaceous sandstone called altar stone. And then it talks about where the stones came from. The sarsen stones are the remains of the cap of the tertiary sandstones which were covered the plain. The foreign stones are still a matter of debate. These have assuredly been brought from a distance. This is unusual. Megalith structures are usually built of materials found close to hand. So you can just see it goes through what is in the book. And Stonehenge looking towards the southeast. So this is on the spot, according to these, in 1916. So it goes about everything. It talks about the stone circles, the summer solstice. It talks about how the monument was erected, a little bit about the Druids, the barrows near Stonehenge. We've got a little bit on Salisbury Plain, which is near. And what's intriguing about Salisbury Plain is the army have arranged there, or did when I used to live there. And on certain days when they weren't firing, you could actually, because obviously my dad was in the army and I was with my dad, you could drive whatever you wanted on there, you could walk. And you were just walking through history. On top of the surface with Roman mosaics, you name it. It was just, and like talking to good friends, they like to build army bases on these sites. It's intriguing. And actually the site where one place I lived, they actually did a time team, which was interesting as well. And Time Team was just like an archaeology program where they used to come in for X amount of days and see what they could find. So we have another picture of Stonehenge here. And this is upright stones, shaded prostrate stones in outline. So you can just see how it is. And I'm just, like I said, I'm reading again as I'm talking to you. It's just intriguing. And this is Salisbury Cathedral and its neighbour Stonehenge are 2 eminent monuments of art and rudeness, and may show the first essay and last perfection in architecture. Dr. Johnson's letter to Miss Thrale, 1783. And you can just see that's what it was in that era. So it's intriguing, and it makes you want to think, and then you're thinking of other things. It's just a brilliant subject to look into. Like I said, don't take anything for granted, just use what we can find and information, because we all look at it with different eyes. Some people will be shouting and seeing different things that I am. Doesn't mean you're right, doesn't mean I'm right or wrong, it just that's what we see, because everything affects us. I'm slightly affected by this because I've lived there, and at the time you could basically walk around, climb anything you wanted to, so I have a little bit more. And there's other things that I have that I can't say in the video because there's no way of me proofing it, giving proof, because it was word of mouth by people in the army. So that's why I'm not using that as evidence. So further down we have the lithology of Stonehenge, and it just goes through the different stones. So it's intriguing, and this pattern that we're showing today, my theory I'm gonna finish with at the end after I showed you everything else, because it just looks like something. And I posted about this on social media a week or two ago because it was just surprising that I've not seen anyone else think like this. And you know what I'm like, I like to think a little bit different. So this just goes through everything about the stones. It's a really good read, and it's just a different perspective. Goes through the stones without the circle, the legend of the Friar's Heel again. Do you mean I can't go through all this because it would just be so long. I mean, look, it talks about the devil. So the story runs, determined one day to undertake some great and stupendous work, for the like of which is famous throughout the world. In the devil we can still discern the Scandinavian giant legend, which in later Christian times became the devil legend. So it talks about other things in it. So go into the description and you can read it. Again, the Slaughter Stone, and this is the Healy Stone, Slaughter Stone, 3 and 4 sites of barrows. So you can see it's really been done in 1916, showing you what was there. And again, there's no way me proving did he actually go there, was this another site, but by that time they were at what is known as Stonehenge, because if it was a move it would have been done in the 18th century. And even in this, when you read it, it talks about another excavation that I've not even mentioned again in the early 1901 or something like that, so a year after the other one that we was just talking about before. So there's just loads on it. Stonehenge yesterday, looking from the southeast, it goes into the building of the Stonehenge. Flint implements found, stag horns found, dressing of the stones, tenons and mortise. So you can just see how in depth this book is for the time, from one person's perspective when the stones were erected. What was Stonehenge? You can just see it goes through different things. And this is Stonehenge looking from northeast, from the altar stone towards the Healy Stone. And then obviously he has a little bit on the Druids. He talks about in this, perhaps one of the most persistent traditions which has been passed on from generation to generation is that which connects Stonehenge with the Druids. There is indeed a vast literature on the subject of Druidism, but the actual knowledge of the subject is limited and the entire question is very obscure. Much of the information existed is derived from the time when Christianity had long been established. The early Celtic religion has in fact been overlaid and embellished by so many later theories as to the particular confusing to the modern student. Benedictine historians have discovered in Druidism traces of the revealed religion by a simple process of confusing similarity with identity. The Gaul adored the oak tree, therefore this must have been a far remembrance of the plains of Mamre. Also, class of writers have invented for the Druids the mission of preserving in the West the learning of Phoenicia and Egypt. The cults of Baal and Moloch have been grafted upon them, and so forth, until the very Druid himself is lost in a mass of crystallizations from without. The insular Druids, to which our national traditions refer, were far more likely to be mere wise men or witch doctors, with perhaps a spice of the conjure. This at all events, seems to be the case of the time when they first acquire any positive information concerning them. Theirs it would be to summon the rain clouds to terrify the people by their charms. The chief druid of Tara, decked out in golden ear clasps and his tongue of heavy gold, is shown as a leaper juggler, as he tosses swords and balls in the air, and like the buzzing of bees on a beautiful day is the motion of each passing of the earth. So you can just see how his perspective of the druids is different from what mine are. I believe they were more like judges and archons, in the sense of, they were in charge. Yes, they were wise men, but they weren't like this. This is like a Hollywood image of them. Amazing as is in the book which has been written about the druids, their beliefs, knowledge and ethics, it seems even more remarkable that so much has been said to connect them with the building of the stone circles, which they are credited with having constructed, the astronomical observations and temples. As has already been indicated, Stonehenge belongs to a epoch far earlier than the druidism of which record remains. The fact rests upon the evidence of both the archaeologist and the astronomer. It is therefore not a little puzzling that Sir Norman Lockyer, after fixing the state of Stonehenge to 1700 BC, should cite the Druids and their late Celtic cult in dealing with the monument, which, on his own showing, was built in early Bronze times. There must exist a very wide gap of anything from 700 to 1,000 years before the mid-year Druids of whom he writes, and the builders of Stonehenge, and the interval possibly as great or even greater between Stonehenge and Avebury, and those other northeast and southeast temples to which he attributes as druidic form of worship. It is even a matter of a grave question if the race who built the stone circles were not entirely different to the late inhabitants of the plain. Avebury has been classed as a Neolithic monument built by a long-headed race, which remains are usually found in the long barrows. Stonehenge belongs to a Bronze period, but a very early date in that culture. In builders would probably belong to the round-headed type of men whose barrows are studied very closely around it. So you can just see the intriguing and put in question here. It was built by the long-headed race, and we know and we've seen them in vast cultures with the long, elongated skulls. That's intriguing, isn't it? So as you can carry on, the barrows of Salisbury Plain. And you can just find the barrows everywhere. It's like you're just walking into a walking museum of history, and these just artifacts found. So I'm just going to skim through these just to show you, and like I said, it's going to be in the description, so you can just take your time then and read through it. There's a lot of things that these people are talking about which are intriguing, and like I said, it's just information. So there you go, that is the book from Stevens called Stonehenge, Today and Yesterday, done in 1916. So it's intriguing, isn't it, when we look at it a little bit different. All this evidence is here. It's whether you trust the information, and like I said, I just treat it as information, but you cannot dismiss everything just because we all have an agenda sometimes, because we believe something so passionately that we ignore the information, and we've all done it. Because I've seen this for years, what people saying Stonehenge was built in 1957, and I just laughed because I knew all this evidence was there, and you're ignoring this. If you want to say it's made in 1957, cool, but say to the people watching your video or your research, but here's information to the contrary that it was maybe built in another time. Don't just ignore it, because it makes us look stupid. I have no real agenda. Like I said, I've been there. I sat on the stones, and the stone I sat on, maybe possibly one of the real ones from another site. Who knows? But it was an experience that changed me. And to people saying it was built in the 50s, it's laughable, because I've showed you everything here, but I've also shown you that the possibility it could have been erected in the 1800s. So we just have to be honest with people, and I've always said it. Even though they're just theories and our guessworks and what we perceive this reality is, we still have a duty of care to say, listen, this is this, but also there is this, and there's not enough of that. So here's that book, and like I said, please check it out. It's going to be in the description. All right, I want to carry on the video now, guys. You're probably falling asleep at this point, but I had to read a little bit out just to show you guys it was actually, you know, it exists. Right, guys, I just want to show you something I thought was intriguing, and you might be looking at the screen and going, who's this guy? Now, if you're wondering who this guy is, he's actually Cecil Chubb. Now, he bought Stonehenge at our auction for £6,600, and as you can see, this is just the flyer that I found online for this very event. Just intriguing, isn't it? You wouldn't think that you could buy Stonehenge at auction, especially for £6,600. Now, the previous landowner basically sold it with several other lots. Now, that was all put up for sale by a guy called Sir Cosmo Gordon Antrobus. So again, a baronet. Now, what's intriguing is there was a Sir Cosmo Edmund Duff Gordon, 5th baronet. So they're both the same baronet, was actually a survivor of the Titanic. So that actually makes it more intriguing and adds to the story of Stonehenge, that the survivor of Stonehenge sold Stonehenge to Chubb. So that's intriguing, isn't it, guys? Just more mystery and folklore, or whatever you want to call it, to the tale of Stonehenge. Now, Cecil Chubb states he bought Stonehenge on a whim. He went for some curtains and ended up paying £6,600. I think that's a lie. You don't buy something so big like that on a whim, because £6,600 is about £600,000 today. Bit too big for a whim. Now, a few years after buying it, he gave Stonehenge to the Crown. For this, he was given a baronet. So he's the first baronet of Stonehenge. But again, to add intrigue and mystery to this, is a guy with so much wealth. Have a look at his grave. Just like normal persons, you'd walk past it if you didn't know. This guy gave Stonehenge to the country, and look at his grave. It's like they just want it all to disappear. So again, more mystery. And as I said, the owner is now the Crown. So guys, what you're seeing here is Neolithic huts at Stonehenge, and they're based on archaeological evidence found at nearby Durrington walls. Now, there's a theory by a lady, an architect, a landscape architect, and I'm going to go into that now, guys. See what you think on this. So, new research by Fifield, a village near Eastleigh, landscape architect Sarah Eubank, right? She's using previously overlooked evidence from stone positions, and she has established that Stonehenge was a majestic building with a huge trussed roof, right? So she's made models of it, and this is the start of it. She also talks about how the base, the footprint of Stonehenge is nearly identical to Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. So she's using that as a base, and as you can see. And what's intriguing is she started to put a roof on it, and here we go with the trussets and the wood. What do you think, guys? Do you think this is possible? And then it was thatched. So coming up is the image that she's portraying that Stonehenge could be like, and she's saying there's evidence for this. What's your thoughts, guys? Do you think this is no way? Or do you think in the realms of possibilities it could be? Is this something that they're trying to hide? That it was like a temple, you know, but thatched with a roof? It slightly reminds me of like the Viking Nordic type of churches, etc. But I'm pleasantly surprised and intrigued when I saw this, and I thought, you know what, I have to show the guys to see what they think. Could Stonehenge have had a roof on? It's something I've not heard about before, and I thought, you know what, I'll have to show you guys. Something else that is really intriguing that many might not know: Stonehenge was one of many new airfields created across southern England. Now, building of the 360-acre airfield began late in November 1917, if I think it was, or it was opened then. It officially opened, there we go, in November. Now, initially it was a Flying Corps training site, but from January 1918 it became the #1 school of aerial navigation and bomb dropping. So, and what can you see in the photo? Stonehenge in the back, and it's played up with planks of wood, joists. It's crazy, isn't it? So you can just see it's always been here, but it's just not what what we've been told. So look at this huge base. It even had the runway. There's one tale I was always told as a kid Obviously not from the time, because obviously I'm not that old, but planes used to nearly hit it, so they took some of the stones down. And as you can see, it looked like a runway leading up to it. It's just crazy that people who research and claim it was built in 1957 don't show you all this. To me, that is more disgusting and bad researching for them not to show you. You can believe in anything you want, but you have to give people options. There's no point in you saying it was built in 1957 when I can show you the army walking past it in 1917 and various other documents. That, to me, is leading people down a path. You're not giving people an option. You're stating it was built then, yet to research Stonehenge, you can't miss what I've showed you in this video. So there's a neglect, and that to me is the biggest turn off, when you don't show people, you know, the for and against. Here you guys, here's an overlay that they've been done on the English Heritage site. So as you can see, Stonehenge, and obviously if you slide across, so it's nearly identical, it's just slightly off. You can just see there's the mound there. And as you can see, there used to be a runway basically running in. The stories I've heard that some planes hit Stonehenge and also they lowered them so they wouldn't get hit. Not many people know about the airfield it was there. And as you can see, it's intriguing. It just adds to the mystery of what the bloody hell's going on. Crazy, isn't it? So I'll just move it back for you. Strange world, isn't it, guys? But these things are put here for us to look at, and we just have to have a guess of what we're actually seeing and what it represents. But you can just see the difference. There you can just see all the stones all the way around the chalk holes. They're not really visible there anymore. And as you can see, I can try. See, from then they've put lintels back on top. Can you see? Here, if I zoom it back, it's been put on since. And this is, you know, in the data I was talking about. So you can just see slight differences. So it's been mauled with so many times. And again, like I was saying before, what is real anymore, what is being fabricated. But hey, I'll show you everything that I find. I just thought this was intriguing to do it like that. As you can see, there's the airfield at the top, loads of bases around it. It's intriguing, isn't it? Right, another theory people had, and this is people that live in the area. Do you know what I mean? So this is the theories I heard as a child and what me, you know, family told me again when I've got older. So this is just a theory. Doesn't mean it's correct. It's just, you know, what people thinking around the region, because as you know, around the area a lot of barrows or henges. Now what you're seeing on the screen is Stonehenge. According to some it was a super henge, and according to some it was Stonehenge's building yard. Now it's a few miles away. I was going to show you on a map in a minute, but a lot of people believe either this was Stonehenge and the stones that were left were moved to its current location, or they came from another site. So that is another theory that people talk about, is that the stones at Stonehenge were moved to that location for whatever reason, whether the ley lines here are a completely different type of energy to where they were moved. Was the new location different? Who knows how many stones were original, because a lot has been replaced. You know, you have to be blind if you don't say that. So as you can see on this old map, I think this is 12th century map, you can see Stonehenge there, and you can see Amesbury above, a few other towns below like Normanton, Wilford. What's funny about Wilford is its name is Wilsford cum Lake. I wonder who filled that up. You know what I mean? So as you can see churches, can't you, and temples where the circles are. Now It's funny that the circles are like henges or barrows that have been moved. It's just, you know what I mean? It just makes you think, are old churches built like army bases on? And as you can see, there's a sign for Wilford Lake. So it's just an idea that was Stonehenge moved from another location, because as you can see from this map, it doesn't go towards what a new map is. You know, there's places in a wrong location. So it just makes you think. And that's all I ever want to do, is just give you guys options to think about. You know, more options you have, the better the painting is, you know, is pictured. Now, as you can see, there is Marden Stonehenge on the map, and in blue at the bottom is Stonehenge. So you can see it's not far, but it's not like, you know, a couple of minutes. It's about 20 minutes or something in a car or something, but obviously you'd walked and it would have taken a few hours. So it's just intriguing to show you how close it is together, Marden, Stonehenge and Stonehenge in the blue at the bottom. It's just intriguing. And here's a bit closer on the wall, you can see Stonehenge there on the map. You have Woodhenge, you have Durrington Walls, which is another henge or mounds or burial grounds. It's just absolutely full of it in this area. And that's the intriguing thing. Have they just moved locations? Is there a ritual to it? Who knows? Will we ever know? We don't know. But if we don't theorise and think on it and don't take anything for granted, we'll never get down to the bottom of it, will we? Right, coming up, I'm going to finish off with something I was looking into, and it's intriguing, and you know what I mean, it's a wacky theory that I pull out from video to video, and this is what I'm thinking it could be. Right, my flockers. People sound like fuckers. But no, it's flockers. So right, I had a post and a theory that I posted a week or two ago on social media. So if you didn't have saw it, why not? But yeah, I posted it on social media, and you might be thinking, what's this got to do with Stonehenge and teeth and the mouth? Well, I want to ask the question first. Do you know what the organ, the teeth meridian is? Now, some of you might know, some of you won't, but it is basically each tooth in the human mouth basically is related by meridian, which is a path to an organ in the body. So each tooth matches to an organ in the body. Now, when an organ or a system becomes diseased or infected, the associated tooth most likely will express some type of basically symptoms as well, because it's connected. Now, what I came across was someone was talking about Stonehenge again being built in 1957, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to have a look at the plans, because I've not looked at it in a long time, the plans and how originally it was set up. And when I looked at it, my mouth dropped, literally, and that's what was connected. I'm talking about, was Stonehenge built like a mouth? Because I've done so many videos talking about the mouth of God, Pandora's box, how special our vocal cords are, the voice of God. What if they set Stonehenge up to be that? Teeth. Now you can see the meridian here, and one of them's got a nice little colour chart and the other one is just plain. But don't this remind you of the layout of Stonehenge that you saw earlier? And I'll bring it back up in a minute. But as you can see, each tooth is connected to an organ in the body. Now, people talk about churches, cathedrals. What if this is what the stones were originally for, and not before they were manipulated by, you know, the cabal, the institutes that look after, you know, architecture in this country, and obviously history. So you can see where I'm coming from, and it's a novel and a fresh idea that Stonehenge could literally be set out like a mouth. It blew me away when I started to look into it. Here you go. Here's basically the plan of Stonehenge. Tell me that does not look like a tooth plan or set out like teeth. It blows you away. I mean, you've even got the option of, could it be giant's teeth? Because don't giants have double rows of set of teeth? Could it not be that? You know, I'm not physically talking about could there be giant's teeth. I mean, possibly anything's possible in this world, but they're laying it out like the plan of the teeth. I mean, you think about it, Stonehenge was supposedly built when Thuban was the North Star, and the North Star Thuban is in the Draco constellation. This even looks like a set of snake teeth. and I'll put a picture up of that so you can see, so you know I'm not thinking I'm crazy. But just look at it. To me, it does look like a set of teeth. You got the altar, just a bit lower than the middle, looking like the tonsils, and then it's an intriguing thing, isn't it? So did people come here to get healed, or wherever the location was? Did they move it to this so it would corrupt our internal organs if it was on different ley lines? Who knows? Anything's up for debate because we just don't know. I don't know. As I say in every video, I'm winging it. Now, what's intriguing is skeletons were found buried below Stonehenge, and they were found to have gold ornaments rolled and placed into the mouths. This means that they were either placed there, obviously in the mouth at the time of basically death, or before the burial. This find is very rare, and there are only about 8 pairs basically in the UK found with this. So they were rolled in the mouth. Gold associated with the gods, ambrosia, conductivity with electric. Was this to put in? Was this torture? Who knows? But come on, guys, rolled in the mouth, buried underneath, and I'm talking about using this in regard to like organ healing, because each is placed out like the set of teeth. Now, I'm not saying it is, guys. As you know, I'm always here and open to think this is just another thing to add to it, because no one knows what Stonehenge was. In this video I've showed you, some believe it had a roof, some believe it was this and that. Why can't I have it's in regard to it laid out like teeth and set up to do that purpose? Because look at the screen, there's the layout of Stonehenge on the left, on the right, a meridian chart. To me, I think I'm onto something, but again, it's like anything, it's up for debate. What do you guys think? I'll go and talk about this as well in my thoughts, but it just really blew my mind. So Stonehenge, or wherever it was moved from, if you believe that theory, is set out like this. Was this a ritual? Was this where they were going to healing, sacrifice? Was this where they went to corrupt the soul, the spirit, the body, basically by playing frequencies? Because obviously people talk about Stonehenge connected to acoustics now and chanting like many other temples do. So it's intriguing, guys, and I'll leave that with you. Thoughts coming up now, guys.
Yeah, they call me the black sheep. You know they call me the black sheep.
Hello and welcome to What the Flock TV. Bum bum bum. Right, guys, I want to say firstly thank you for the support, the love again. Humbling as ever. You guys are having my back, and I truly appreciate that. Right, if you want to follow me on social media, obviously there's YouTube. I'm on What the Flock TV on Odyssey, What the Flock TV on Twitter, but it's a capital F for some reason. And Instagram, same name, What the Flock TV. So if you actually want to see stuff I post every day, check it out. Well, it's not every day, isn't it? Enough every day. Technicalities. So, guys, I just want again, I always like to leave the last word to the people that have humbly donated via Buy Me a Coffee. Guys, I do message as many people back as I can on there, whether you get them. Just know I'm truly humbled, and it so helps, guys. It really does. And in this time of need, when money is short, you know what I mean, I do get very emotional. I'm an emotional person. You just have to know that, love and the support, even if you don't do that, it's just no words for it. So on with the video. What do you think? Am I crazy? How much? Just a little. So I wanted to do this video for a very, very, very long time, and because I've always had other topics to do, it will be, oh, this won't take me 2 minutes, I'll do this again soon, and then you forget, and then you're seeing constant posts stating Stonehenge built in 1957, here's the evidence. And that's what we've seen for many years. And it's not just the fact that I live there and I have an affinity with it. Like I said in the beginning, I had a weird experience, like an energy rush that I believe changed me. And sometimes we can be, when we're investing in something, we get emotional, we get triggered. Whoops, just get moving a bit closer. So, you know, like I've always said in all videos, I have an ego, I get emotional, I get triggered, just like everyone else does. And if you say you don't, well, unfortunately, lying. So don't kid yourself. We're human after all. Just get on with it, learn how to deal with things. Take a step back and think, why am I getting triggered? And I do this and thought, you know what, I'm going to make a video. But one of the points I made in the video, and please, people who have shared photos of Stonehenge 1957 saying that's when it's recorded, this is not a dig at you, because, you know what I mean, a certain amount of us only have a certain amount of time to research, or we trust the source. For instance, a lot of you people might trust me, but like I said to you, I'm human, I'm prone to mistakes, and I can be hypocritical. I try to be objective and straight down the line, and I try and show you other theories for certain things. I can't put every theory in for, you know, some people will be screaming, you didn't put this in, Paul. Make a video and see how hard it is. I'm already up to 1 hour and odd just by doing the things I wanted to do. And there's always a sweet spot on videos. Some people like long videos, some people like short videos, and it's that balance. And this was me trying to fit it in. But when you're reading things out, it takes a lot longer. So just try it. You can't fit everything in. So this is no dig at you people, because you know this is what I'm like. This is a dig at people who know there is other evidence. And for instance, the information I've showed you in this video, it's not hard to find. It really is not hard. It's a case of, on the keyboard, I'm doing a bit of research. So there's people knowingly passing off Stonehenge built in 1957 as its creation point, and it's bollocks, and it's lying, and it's shameful, and it's doing harm to our community for research purposes. Now, this is not a digger if you think it's real or not. This is a case of people are showing evidence for something without showing you other evidence. Like, for instance, I believe it was built in 1957. Here's my proof. But there is other evidence saying it's for another period in time. No harm in that, because you're giving people the option to go and look. Because some people just, we have to, you know, be honest, some people just, and there's different levels of research. People will go down to the bone. Some people will do a quick search, and that's life. You know what I mean? We're living at a fast pace, and people want it at the fingertips. And like I say, they trust channels, trust opinions. Now that's done by time and, you know what I mean, experience. But I say to everyone, we're winging it. We have egos. Everyone on a channel has these, and we have agendas. Now people are passing that off as legitimately in 57. Now you can say, well, all history is fake, so those watercolours from the 12th, 13th century, fake, can't use that as evidence. Photographs, well, you can fake photographs. It's been done in the, you know, the early 20th century when this was so-called done. So treat it as information. That's what I do. I'm not using that as backup. But what if I find other photos of 1920? So-called when they were the archaeologists were at the site renovating it, so-called. I've showed it. I'm leaving it up to you. It's great if you see the information in this video and think, you know what, it can't have been built. It's impossible to have built. Do you know what I mean? Because it's in within a generation of us, grandparents' time. I know people that's walked around it in that time. And what proof would people need? Would you need like your grandparents or your great grandparents to come on and say? And then people say, "Oh, it's bollocks anyway." You can't help some people. People are just so set in their ways, so emotionally invested in channels and information that when you show them this, it's a shock to the system. And that's with any topic, but this, in regard to this is what I'm talking about. So it's not me saying and slamming people, but I think it's disgusting, shameful and hurtful. Now, is it real people? Is it bots? Is it the system? Who knows? Do you know what I mean? We've all shared things without researching it, because we always, and then get caught out. But you have to hold your hand up and say, you know what, I'm one of them. Do you know what I mean? And I've done it. Because sometimes, you know, situations around you, what's happening in your life, you just not got, you make a split decision, oh, that looks real, that it's got to be that, and bang. Many times I've showed content, people passing stuff off that's in Denver airport, and I'm telling bang, no, it's not. You know, like the massacres and all the murals, it wasn't done at Denver. I had people who lived there saying yes it was. I said no, it's not, you're lying. Egos get in, and I showed proof. Didn't come back to me. So people will always say, well, I was born there, I've been there. Listen, we're human, we're prone to mistakes. Things get passed off to promote an agenda, and this is promoting about Stonehenge. Now, it's a different question, is it real or not? Because any of you people who watch Only Fools and Horses will know the reference that I mentioned. I think I mentioned it in the video where Del Boy talks to Trigger, and he says, oh, you know, what's up, Trigger? Oh, I'm going picking an award up, you know, for service to road sweeping because I've had the same brush for 20 odd years. And he's like, wow, really? He said, yeah, I've only had 14 new heads, 16 new, you know, brush handles. And you're like, well, how can it be the same one? Listen, you can see things. There's images of photos I didn't even put in of, do you know when they're doing casts of stone and they put like a cast on to get the actually texture of stone? There's photos of them doing that so they can apply it to other stones to make them look lifelike. Listen, you don't need a rocket scientist to know to say, no pun intended, that it looks well dodgy. And then you go into why have they done it. This video is mainly about, listen, it's not been built in 1957. There's photographic evidence, and there we go. The end. Bye guys. But you can see my point. If you're using 57 as photographic proof and evidence, why not 1920? And then, as you've seen in these books were written in 1916. Well, they can be fake, Paul. Yes, they can. But so can the photograph in 1957. Why? Who says that is law and says that has to be used as proof and everything else doesn't? It's either all or none. And this is why I try and promote this channel. We can't get to the fact of, Paul, this is evidence of this. It's all fake. It's history. History is just a book. And I've showed you countless times with different stories and interpretations and translations on those stories. You will have it in ancient Hebrew, Aramaic, Sumerian, Egyptian, and so on and so on and so on. And then translation and into Greek, into English, and stories change, stories get embellished. Some are Chinese whispers, and some are plain up lies. But when you're lying, do you actually believe in your lies? There's so many different layers, like an onion, to topics. It's not just simple as saying, that's fake, that's real. Sometimes people are just have plain agendas. You know, certain channels, when they all go, it's this, and this, oh, it's free energy. Well, show me. You know, every tower is not free energy. Do you know what I mean? And every tower is not this. Do you know what I mean? I research channels, but everything is not, well, it is, but you know what I mean? I am very objective. Do you know what I mean? And it's not me saying this. This is cumulative evidence from books and different things, and then joining together. But I still say it is my opinion, so don't take it as fact. So we can't take anything as fact, because fact doesn't mean truth. I've showed you these in videos, and these are just my opinions, and people get so butthurt and snowflake to be typing as soon as this video coming on, telling me, oh, it's how fake. I'm not watching the video and seeing the evidence for themselves. So you can't have just one picture. Well, no, it's not just one picture, but you know, I mean, there's images of it done in 1957. What happens in 50 years, 100 years time, when someone looks and finds photographs of it being renovated and cleaned in 2010, 11 and 12, scaffolding all around it? Is that going to be evidence to use that it's fake, it's only just been built in 2010, 2011, and so on? We have to, as a community, hold our hands up and say there's people out there promoting and shit researchers, and they just want to muggle up even more than there is. And it's true. I'm seeing huge channels, double, quadruple what I have, promoting this bollocks. Oh, it's only built in 57. Have you researched? Have you turned on your computer books and looked? How can you promote something when there's so much evidence to say you're talking out your ass? Yes, it's information, but treat everything as information. You can't just pick and choose, oh, well, this 57 is real because it is real. You can see it's not been doctored. Well, what about the other images? What about the books? What about the ancient scrolls? Not every scroll's been doctored. And we're left to this conundrum when people say, and then we'll have people say, well, what's the point? It's all history. Well, let's just do a video of me sat here like this. Hello. For how long? I'm not talking about anything because everything is a lie. Well, that's going to be a bit boring, isn't it? And if everything is a lie, well, why put in research? Just sit back. And I just don't get it. You know what I mean? It's all information. It's all someone's perspective. There's people like you, me, like I was saying in my live today, throughout history, who's seen these structures, if they were built that long, or the information provided, and theorised, and said what they believe that they're witnessing. And then that's taken as fact or truth or a different perspective in newer times. So there's always been people like us and you listening today. It's taken as philosophy and things, and there's always people gone against the grain with a different perspective, and they've been cast out as witches, warlocks, pagan, oh my god, don't get me started on that. So you just can't say anything these days. Your every word is edited and used against you when they don't use the context of anything. So for those people who are willingly, knowingly passing this information off, knowing that there's information, images that can paint a different page of the story, shame on you. Well, it is. There's all well having your own perspective and opinion on anything. If you believe it's done and then in that time for 57, cool, good on you. But why have you ignored everything else? And we can't use that same excuse, oh well, it can be fake, it's his story. Well, so is 57, it's history, it's in the past. Don't use anything. You know what I mean? So if people say, why do you think it was built in a certain time, and you say, and they say, show me the evidence, you don't show them, just say it's an opinion. Because you can just show countless stuff. Everything is either information or it's all lies, and it's all perspective and opinion. We have to just get over that fact that we all have a different opinion. This is my different opinion on this, but there is information to show you that, to back up what I'm saying. From personal family members walking around before that date, but hey, we'll ignore that, they're just lying, and so on and so on and so on. You know what I mean? So I had to make this video now. I was constantly seeing, and I'm seeing channels hundreds of thousands, and then on Twitter, Stonehenge was built in 57. Well, you're either very, very lazy, or you just have an agenda. There's no harm in saying I believe it's in this day, and this other information can be doctored, fake. But then again, like I was saying, so could yours. And then there's an agenda of why they're faking history. That's like the bigger question, why they're faking history. Because like I was saying, Stonehenge, you have the some of the stones just look like well dodgy theme park type, and some of them are real. I've been there. You know what I mean? I was there in times when you could just walk up to it and basically do what you want. And then when I moved away, and then after the years and years and years, it's been cornered off and it's changed. It's been changing to a money making scheme. So, and there's things I could add that would corroborate, but I have no proof. It's just word of mouth from people in the army and different things. So I can't use that, and I can't even mention what they are, because it's just a perspective and an opinion and hearsay. Like some of the things I've included, but they were on a broader, and a lot of people have said it. These are just stories that have been told by family members who were in the army, and friends who've told me, mother and dad, and etc. So those things are just, you'll get them on any topic. So I wanted to just clear that straight up, because I believe it hurts the community. It makes us look idiots and stupid, because some people are always sitting on the fence, and when you get into a big group or a community and people are throwing these images around and using that's when it was created, and people don't want to go against the grain, they want to feel welcomed in, they want to feel accepted in the group, so they go along with the story, and then they go out and promote that story. We should promote what we want to say all the time. I promote you guys to be honest, have integrity, have morals, because there's people out there following people. It's some of the crimes that they've done. It's just, listen, we're all up for giving people second chances, but some of the things I'm hearing and seeing and evidence, it's crazy. It's like I've said, we have a duty of care to people who watch these videos. You know, if you say at the beginning, it's just in the... I've had people messaging me saying, oh, it's bollocks, it's Paul, it's bollocks, 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 bollocks. And I'm saying, yeah, but did you see the bit where I said it's just my opinion? And I show you the evidence on that. Yeah. Give you that. You said, well, what's the point emailing? Critiquing, it's the easiest thing to critique. Go and do a channel yourself. Go and feel the heat when you have numbnuts like you messaging with so stupid, ridiculous comments. Well, it is. Do you know what I mean? And you can say the trolls and computers and bots. Yes, some are. But there is something that's more scary. Some of these are real people. And I will have countless of these at Minute Mark when they're saying that Stonehenge looks fake, it's built in 1915. I can guarantee it. I can absolutely guarantee it. And this is where we are in the community. I always say to me, listen, don't take what I say as fact. Even though I'm very objective in my videos and I do show you other theories, it doesn't matter what you do. When you create something, you're always creating your image in the sense of how you make things and how you like it to be perceived and looked at. So we're all prone to mistakes. I find reading and typing some things hard. And there's loads of errors in it because it doesn't have autocorrect on the software that I use. So, pardon me, these videos take ages to make. It's a hard doing, and you got to be open for critiquing, but there's ways of doing the critiquing, you know what I mean? And 99 people who do it don't even make content. Make it yourself and see how hard it is. You know what I mean? It's just, honestly, some of the things that I get asked in comments when I can find them, it's like, are you actually watching the video? Do you know what I mean? It's like, people just, you know, it's scary how bad and rotten and idiotic and stupid the community is. I call it the community, and this is no dig at anyone, because there's some brilliant people. There's people who are better and greater minds than me in the chat. You know what I mean? I keep getting told, people when they watch our chat, is how bloody good our chat is. You know what I mean? You'll get all the channels saying, oh, our chat's the best. Yeah, like, we're full of fucking people that like find it hard to say the name. People in this chat are not only smart and they have morals. Do you know what I mean? And I'm proud of the chat because together we have made it. Do you know what I mean? We have made it for what it is today. And that is something I will always take away from my time doing videos, because you don't know how long you'll do it, don't know how long, you know, things always change, either for or against. So that's something I'm always proud of. And that is down to the support I get from you guys. It's just humbling. It really is. And I don't use that word lightly, but when I say it to this, there's just no words that, you know, you can express. And it's all spells, but, you know, it's the intent. You know what I mean? People are just so hung up. And that's what it is. About other channels, you'll go on other channels, guys, you'll watch other stuff and you'll see in the chat someone says, oh, globe or earth or globe or this or that, and people straight in, oh, it's flat, oh, it's this and this and this, and they get triggered. In this chat, things just flow. It just gets left, because listen, we're all used to saying certain words, but if you're gonna get triggered every time someone posts anything, it's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? So this video was all about mainly showing you a different perspective and showing you other information that states it's not built. Now it's up to you if you want to carry on with that 1957 theory. Good to you. But don't fool yourself and other people. At least say, I believe it was 57, but there is other evidence, and whether you believe that is up to you. That is cool, because at least you're giving people the option of knowing there is other information out there. It's the people who willingly know it and not say anything. That's what always gets me, because we can agree to disagree on a lot of topics and a lot of theories. After in chats, even when I come into chats and say things people don't agree with, and that's cool, because it's always down to you. You're the common denominator in everything. And when more and more people understand that, hopefully people don't get triggered and the community will change for the better. Like the good old days where you can sit down and, like I said in the live, you can talk to people for hours and you get a rush because of the flowing, and you're not standing up chest pumping and, oh, well, I believe it's this. Well, where'd you get most of your theories? Because I can guarantee it, most of the people will get them from watching channels, and then they tinker and change it and into their own. But we all use each other for information and for theories and ideas. Do you know what I mean? And so we all get it from each other. So we're all prone to mistakes, and what we think is a fact. So taking all that on board, what do you actually do? And I will do, as this is being played, I would have already done a poll. I'm going to try and do a poll at the beginning of the video before it goes live and leave it up for a little bit and see what people actually believe, because some will say 1957, and like I said, this is no dig at them. So if people feel a bit, oh, who's having a go at me, no, understand the context of what I'm trying to get at. Do you know what I mean? Some people just can't research and use trusted sources, and then this is when things get taken as fact. Because when you talk about channels, you will always get people who will defend that channel because they're emotionally invested, they're a part of the family. You know what I mean? And that's what's wrong with the community. All information is taken not in the context of it being 100% truth. Truth is not fact. People will argue that. Go and Google it. Truth is not fact. You know what I mean? That could be a lie. Yes, it can. Let's just stay here and let's just hum and not talk about anything ever again, because everything is a lie. It's going to be a boring world. So in this video you saw different countless pictures and images. You had a 12th century map of Stonehenge. Now this is a question, if the earth, I mean, we've lived there for, for thousands of years or more, you know what I mean, in the area. Is this to be taken as fact? No, because if you've watched my old videos, you'll see all maps are lies. All maps are spam. Spam is maps anagrammed backwards. And we know what spam is. Maps are political. They have agendas, they're religious. It's to change borders, it's egotistical. Maps didn't even use the cardinal directions for so many years. That were brought in the Great Vow to L shift. This theory that everyone keeps forgetting when they're on channels and they're promoting certain things. This is one of the best theories, and it shows you an agenda. When all this shit started, you have it in black and white of a period when it all started, and all this science that we all call lie and was used today was from that period, like the compass, cardinal directions. We had east, south, west at the top. North is a man-made construct. Who said that? That's not right. A map maker said that. People use Mercator map for everything as evidence. Oh, look at everything. Oh, it's squashed in the middle. The land masses are changing. On a Mercator map, it's projection. And on these maps, in the... Oh, see what I mean? I forgot. Oh my God. Can I say the line? The line in the middle, not the horizon. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that, because I'll have people complaining that I can't remember that. But you know what I mean, the thingy line. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that. What's my name? Can I? Oh no, I've not got nothing to actually. You know what I mean. So yes, tell me in the chat how thick and stupid I am, which I am. I forget my name, but you know what I mean. So when you go nearer to the middle, that middle line on the globe, everything squashes up and changes form. That is a fact, according to them, when you research maps. So all this information has to be taken on board when we're looking at anything. So, you know, look at the map that I showed you near the end. It had towns and things all muggled up. So we can't take it with Stonehenge moved like I theorised in here, because I heard people over the years and from family members telling me that people always believed Stonehenge was moved, whether it was from Marden or somewhere else, because the place is just... It's just like a block of Swiss cheese. There's just so many henges, so many barrows all in this area that it could have been moved from anywhere. Then we have to say, and honestly say, is it actually fake? Or they're hiding the true purpose of Stonehenge? Because it can actually be real, and they've changed the stones and they've altered it to make it just a money-making scheme. Because the stones, you know, have been mauled with, have been changed, have been something that I can't say because, you know what I mean, it's just hearsay. So things have always done. We used to have an airfield there, and I've heard even on TV of pilots, you know, back in the day, saying that sometimes they were getting hit, you know, with a bad pilot, and they asked for them to be lowered so they could actually flow low and out. Again, we're at that quandary when we saying, is that real or is it all fake? And we just have to take it, and that's why I take it as information. I'm not vested into it, because I can't prove it. How do you prove something? How would you prove something today? Photograph can be altered. We have AI art now, and AI photographs being pushed around as true, and no one researching or does. Listen, when you always think of something that you think's a bit dodgy, just do a reverse image search. And I always get asked how to do that. Just search engine reverse image search. Upload the picture, and it'll show you where the images come from. You know what I mean? If, you know, it's always a little bit dodgy if you're just getting one hit, but it doesn't mean it's fake. Just sometimes it is. It could be just someone's actually physically done it. But also you have to be under the idea that yes, it has been faked, it has been altered because of this. So many things that's been passed off by these channels as evidence, and I've just done a reverse image search and I've showed the actual footage. Remember not long back they were showing you on them big squares with like a snaky thing, and oh look at this, and it's not even the real. You don't, you know what I mean? So these things, it just annoys me. You know what I mean? It annoys me because people who are easily persuadable are using this as evidence. For instance, if you got people that you're talking to at home who are dipping their toe into the community, dipping the toe into these topics, and then you're trying to persuade them and you go bang, look at this for evidence, and then they find out it's fake, it doesn't look good, and it could have a profound effect on them. Listen, but we've all done it, I've done it, and you learn to do these things. Or, you know, there's no harm, you know, people actually saying this could be a bit dodgy, what if, you know what I mean? But we're at an age now where you've got AI enabling photographs. We had even Stalin and a guy taken out of a photograph or putting, I can't remember which way it was, but that was done in like the 30s or 40s. So it's easily done, and we just have to be wary of this. People are always throwing stuff around, saying it's real, and you can just do a quick search. Oh god, I'm going to sneeze. I've not got a tissue. Pardon me. I'll have to clean that now. Oh my god, good god, it's not dangling from my nose. That wouldn't be a good look. Hello, ladies and gents. And I've got a little greenie dangling from my nose. Oh my god, it's like that advert. So in this video, and it's me gobbling and gabbling on. Get to the points, Paul. So an interesting thing was, when you do the research, you will find out about the history of Stonehenge, and hence it was bought at auction by Cecil Chubb. And there's various rumours, you know, if you look into it, you'll see he either was buying some furniture or curtains for his wife. His wife wanted some, you know, furniture for the house. He's gone along to this auction, and he's bought Stonehenge. And he's come home. All right, love. Oh, did you get me that furniture? Oh no, I got your so-called ancient monument. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? So I don't think that is the case. This is a case of manipulation of history and starting of an agenda. I mean, yes, he was rich and a millionaire, but still, he's not a multi-millionaire. He's a rich person, and he just spent £6,600. It's so funny because it's nearly to 666, and then you would have gone, definitely raised an eyebrow. But it was roughly about £500,000 to £600,000 in today's money. You don't do that on a whim. Yes, if you're a multi-millionaire and a billionaire, but he wasn't. It was just a rich, you know, maybe just a millionaire. But still, then, you know, that money, then to give it away 3 years later, doesn't make sense. And in the 30s he died, and look at his grave. Something just doesn't fit. This guy gave, you know, I don't have to say supposedly or do them, you know, I'm hoping you guys have common sense to know I'm not saying this as fact. I'm just talking about it. So he gave it away to the crown, and he got a baronet for it, and he's known as Baronet of Stonehenge. Doesn't feel right. But again, when things don't feel right, does it necessarily mean it's wrong? No, but, you know, you have to go with your intuition. But, you know what I mean? So that just doesn't feel right. And he bought it off a guy called Cosmos, Edmund, so on, and Trubus. Now, you know, when you do these things, you can go then to town on these names and the families and so on and so on. But I wanted to keep it close to what the, you know, it's about Stonehenge, not actually about families. And when I was researching it, there was a guy, and he was 5th Baronet. He was the 5th Baronet, was Cosmo. And then I found out that there was a Cosmo, basically the same name, 5th Baronet again. So when you're a baronet, and for instance you died and your son takes over, he would then, for instance, if I was a 5th Baronet, he would then become the 6th Baronet. You don't get the number, you know, passed across. You'll get names passed across, you know, like What the Flock TV. And if I pass it on to my daughters, they would be What the Flock TV 1 or 2, or you know, and so on and so on. So this is what happens. You can pass the names across, but you then do get them juniors and 1s, 2s and 3s and 4s, you know, and it carries on. So yes, it could be his father, but when I saw it was the same baronet, that came to me the conclusion that it was the same person. So then that person survived Titanic, and I believe when I was just researching that, there was a bit of dubious things around him. He was like trying to bribe people not to pick up any survivors and just get him and his wife or partner at the time off the ship, and he was investigated and cleared. But he was a baronet, 5th Baronet. And I believe when you type it in Cosmos, it'll appear. So I don't know if it actually appeared in the film, but I've saw images of actors, so you know, I believe that was in the case. So that person was a banker, and we know about the Titanic and how people talk about how it was used to kill people who didn't want the federal bank and so on and so on. So he was a banker on that ship who went down, survived, and he sold Stonehenge to Chubb. So that is an intriguing story in itself. And this was done in the, you know, the early 1915, 1820ish time. Can't remember what it said in the video. So that's just straight away, that is evidence for showing you it was not built in 57. And then, like anything I said before, and I don't want to keep going over it, well, that could be all that. Yes, it can, but so can yours. So you're in that quandary. Do you actually bother? So just treat it as information. And when you build this information up, you can quite see, for obvious reasons, he wasn't born in 57. You know, so that's the intriguing thing. when was it built? Was it just built in the 12th century? Because that's when the first mention of it in records. That is a dubious thing, because could it have been just like a lot of the other barrows and henges, buried, just scattered? Farmers take stones and so on. Obviously not the big ones, but you know what I mean. It could be, but why did it not appear earlier on? That is the whole point. Again, you're talking about the 11th, 12th century, the Great House L shift, when most history etymologies start. You know what I mean? Even in this, I had to even mention to Janos and that in regard to the coins found at the site. Now, that to me was another dodgy aspect. Yes, can these coin and the wine bottle that I talk about actually have been done in a renovation or whatever you want to call it? Well, I call it renovation, just renewing it up, fabricating lies, actually building it. That's up to you. I have no qualm with people saying it's this, this and this. I just had an experience on one of the old stones that I know was there and was real. And people screaming, oh, well, they're all geopolymer, and so on and so on and so on and so on. It's like, so it doesn't mean it's not ancient. Like I said, the Romans had the cement that was waterproof and could be poured underneath. Where did they get technology from? Was it from an advanced race? Is it just, good tech to actually mould these things into the shapes? These are some of the questions that we have to ask, and not be discouraged at what we find. So what raised my eyebrow is the stone and the so-called, this is the idea. So you had a stone, whether, I can't remember if it was upright or down on the floor, and obviously where it meets the soil, they're saying this coin fell down a crack 3 feet under. Do you believe that? Then you find out that definitely it was flat, and a guy put a port wine bottle underneath. So they picked this bottle up. They picked the huge stone up, buried the port wine bottle and put it back down, or dug under. Dags. You know what I mean? And when I read that, I was like, that sounds very suspicious. They do sound like they're in situ, and the situ is like where it was originally placed or dropped. So does that prove that it was built in the 18th century to what it is now? That is the point. Because yes, these stones can fall down and ploughed and so on, because it was used. Farmers were all over it. A farmer tried to buy it for his sheep, who owned bits of the land at the side. So could it be? Yes. It just doesn't feel right, especially with a wine bottle and them laughing in the post about it. Oh, when we found such and such a wine bottle from his excavation or renovation. I'm like, really? That sounds to me like it was when he was building it, someone just left the wine bottle on the floor and they put the stones down to create what we see today, and then someone came in and picked them up, put the flints on top, and then we get what we get today. That to me sounds like in situ and raised my eyebrow, but again, doesn't mean it was then. Sometimes we do get into the scenario where it is, if it looks like that, it doesn't mean it's that. It just looks like it. I'm again, sometimes to blame for things like this because they look like it. That's just your perspective. Doesn't mean it's that. But still, it can't stop us from not theorising and saying what it looks like. You know what I mean? I'm a theoriser. A lot of my videos are what ifs. But I tell you that, guys. You know what I mean? And people always message, oh, you're leading people down the wrong path. Why? Is it wrong to tell people don't take my information as fact? Research for yourself. I'm winging it. I have an ego. Oh yeah, that's leading people up the wrong path. That's leading people to go and research for themselves and never take my word for it. But this is what we get. And I was really excited about this. And that was just one part of it. To find that they found a George III farthing 3 feet down. Talks about, yes, they can have been excavating the site and someone's dropped the coin. out of the pocket, or it can be they were actually putting the stones to make Stonehenge what it is today, and that was dropped. And when you do things like this, we'll always get a mischievous person who thinks, I'm going to have a little bit of fun here. Bang, I'll put a wine bottle under one of the stones that we've placed. Because if it was excavating or renovating, whatever you want to look at it, to leave one of these bottles, and it was basically full for over 100 years, and obviously the cork rotted, you know what I mean? That to me stinks, a bit dodgy, and I wouldn't be who I am not to say that, innit? Take away what you want from it. You know what I mean? I came into this just to show that it wasn't built in 57, you know what I mean? And leave up to people how you... you can still believe it, you know what I mean? In the end of the day, we believe what we want to believe. But I just wanted to show that, listen, there is more information out there, and hopefully you guys will go away and look at it. That's what I'm trying to promote, really. Don't take my word for it. Go and look for yourself. But do that on every other topic. And then we would be in a better community where people use each other for inspiration, and go away and look and check the information. Like, for instance, I posted stuff on Bitcoin this week, and when I did it on the converter, it came back as Paul and Roman coin, and people, rightly so, and that made me proud. Really did. They were doing the same and saying, Paul, it's not that. And you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Those are the things it makes me proud, because people have, looked at it and they've intrigued by it. Oh, let me do this. And they've done it. And it's not come back the same. And that makes me proud, because they've not took my word for it. And that, so you can take away from that, well, Paul's lying. Or, as we know, the translator changes at time. These things I've included in videos, and that's why I always try and do them and show you the converter, me typing it in, and then you can actually see it. Do you know what I mean? These were just images of me, screenshotting, which then can be used as evidence. But like I always say to people, they can be photoshopped, and I don't take it personally, because people are just checking up because it's an intriguing topic. And that's what we should do. You know what I mean? That's what I've been promoting in this video. So we have that. So you start building a pattern, and then different theories and people from locals saying it was built and taken from Marden and other henges. Marden was called a super henge. It's supposed to be 10 times bigger than Stonehenge. Could the fact that Stonehenge is as small as it? I know it has a little complex out, but everything's up for debate. And we can all take it which way we want to do it. Like I said, I'm hypocritical sometimes in the way I do videos. 1 week I'm saying this, 1 week that, because I'm ever changing. And sometimes when you do reflect on something, you can say, well, I was a bit stupid there, and say so. That's what I try and do anyway. And so you have it. Could it have come from Marden? Could that have been the builder site for it? And sometimes we don't give ancient people enough credit. Sometimes it's an advanced race and all this, or people, people had skills. Do you know what I mean? But you can't be, we can't be naive and say, some of the things are not dodgy. For instance, like, the stone, when it does look like it, I can't say certain words because people jump on things. The stone, people used to sit in it, and then when it got renovated in 57 and 58, was it 59, it got cemented in. You know what I mean? So, and if I saw that, like I say in the video, I'm honest, if I just took that and took that as word, that would look like it was being major development and built in that time. So, but then when you get the bug, look at it and then go back and find out, is there any more information? And it's not hard to find. It's not like I had to go and break into a secret vault. All the information's there. But treat it as that. Give people alternatives. And people used to sit in it, and then it got filled in. Is that a lie? Is that how it was? All these are possibilities. So people don't be coming on here and giving it all the Billy Big Bollocks and saying, oh, it's fake. I didn't say it was real, didn't say it was fake. I want to leave it up to people. That's just an opinion. respect people have a different opinion, and that's why I always do my videos like the way I do. I don't say it's this 100%. I say it could be this, could be that. It's just my opinion, because it changes, and we all see different things, you know. But I just think that the cumulative evidence from ancient manuscripts to actual photographs to written in papers and articles, like my good friend Waking from Analog does on his shows, is just more evidence. It's more information for you to actually read. And to read that of it, how we found a coin, a George III coin. It didn't give a specific date, because it does range from 1780 something to 1820. And then the wine bottle, could that actually be the time when someone came up with the idea to make money or create this fake history? But then again, you have to look around the country in the UK, and there's thousands of these stone monoliths. Are you talking about everyone being fake? You know, or we just take it for what it is? Could the odd one be fake? Could it be history? Could it be changing the story of what actually it was built for? You know what I mean? And that's what I'm leaning towards, the actual purpose of Stonehenge. That's what they're trying to fabricate and change. You know what I mean? And I've talked about the odd theory in this of one lady, landscape architect, talks about how nearby villages had roofs on, you know, and other hinges. I can't remember if I put another one into the image or I didn't bother, but there is other hinges supposedly built with a hollow inside. And could Stonehenge have a roof? And that, you know, these things we just have to go, it could, but I don't think, or you know. But it's cool to show someone else's perspective. Imagine it in a roof, and then it does remind you of them old Viking like churches in a sense, but you know what I mean, how it was built straight up, which is intriguing. And then, you know, are they hiding that fact? You know what I mean? And the so-called mainstream science are not talking to this lady because they think it's so far-fetched. You know what I mean? So where do we go? You know what I mean? We just have to look at things and reevaluate and keep reevaluating our information. How many times have we started a theory, done a video, and then 3 weeks, a month, or a year later, you saw someone else do a topic similar to yours, and they've hit a nail on the head, and you've gone, wow, I didn't think of that. Now let me put that into that. Wow, that makes more sense. You know, my videos, people always say that they make sense. Doesn't mean they're true, but they just make sense. It's plausible. History is, like I said, his story. This was all made for Janos, and I keep showing the people that. I keep seeing people talking on chats and, you know, not using Janos as information. Don't say, oh, What the Flock TV is so right and this is all it's going to be. No, it's just information to help on your theories and stories. You know what I mean? It's just an intriguing topic, especially Janos and the Great Vow 12 shift, in being in charge of the calendars and dates, you know. And history has Tor in it, which is a door. Who's the god of doors, you know. You know what I mean? And it's a case of, a door back, you know, Tor backwards is rot, you know what I mean? So it's like rot, like the truth. It confessed it has a rut in it. You know, sometimes we get stuck in it like a door. Especially in revolving ones, when you touch it and they stop and you're like, don't. You know what I mean? So these things are all up for debate. And the information I put in the video, hopefully it's just painting that, showing you my personality. I want to show you it can be this, and this. If this is taken as fact, why is this not taken as fact? Why is this not taken as information? You know what I mean? I just want to be open about it. I'm open as I can be. I get things wrong a lot. I'm human. I have an ego, just like anyone. You know, I mean, it's how you wrestle with that every day. Do you know what I mean? Because we have days when the ego takes over and you're like, why do people not listen to me? You know, I've got a good theory here and it's never talked about. And then if it gets talked about, they're taking all my videos and using it as their own. But when you come down to it, in the sense of it is hard, but if we keep holding grudges and letting the ego, it rots from the inside, and it's no good for you. So, you know, you try and just let things go and let it slide, and hopefully people can see things how they, you know, how they are. But you know what I mean? I'm just like you guys. I'm not smart, I'm not stupider, I'm just me. Don. So then it came to my theory, and the reason I'm going through it, because like I said, I'm up to 15 minutes as it is, could be near a 2-hour video. And again, so I have to thank the people for posting this, because it made me reevaluate. And again, I just found this interesting theory, that we talk about cathedrals and churches and organs and the windows and healing and stuff like this, when what could these monuments actually have been built for? And then when I looked at the plan of Stonehenge, because obviously people saying it was built in a certain period of time, I thought, you know what, let me just have a look how it's set up and the earliest plan for it. You know, the drawings from above or so on, or how they were in situ, because a lot of them change over time. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, and I posted this online on social media about a week or two ago on, and it's funny when you post this, you've never saw this theory out there. Doesn't mean it's not out there. I have to hold my hands up. But when you don't see it, and you've been in this for a while, and then you post it and people, oh yeah, but you know, it's like, dude, lady, come on, I've just put this new theory and you're trying to take it as your own. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? That's when the ego gets in. So I posted this and I say how it looks like teeth. I didn't want to go into too much detail because I'm making the video, and I don't like giving away too much, because I want some, you know, you guys something to look forward to. You know what I mean? If I told you all the video, you wouldn't tune in. You wouldn't like watch this for an hour and a bit to get the last details. You know, you can fast forward later, like, but you know what I mean. So yeah, it looks like a plant of teeth. And I was talking to a friend. I'm not giving her name away because I don't know if they want, you know, permission to do so, and you know, they want it incognito. But you know, I was talking to a friend and I'm saying, I got onto this is what my next video is, and said, doesn't it look like a set of teeth? And they were the ones to remind me about to look into the meridian, which I did know of, but like I said, you can't remember everything. So thank you. A little shout out with no name. You know who you are. So that thought to me, you know what, that is spot on. Organ, teeth, meridian, paths. Could Stonehenge be a place that they used this type of technology? Because when you look at it, it does look like teeth. And were these stones, each stone, the corroboration, you know, what's that word? Because that's sometimes with big names. Corroborating, was it? No, it's not. Stone that actually matched the stone of your teeth pattern. And could these stones be, you know, like a chant or a hit? Were these actually stones made? Because when you look at some of the stones, you can see that it does look like it's just basically cement, and it's just like a metal block or stone block inside. Were they actually purposely made like that? Because when you look at teeth, after the enamel, you've got different layers. And were these hit? Were these, you know, because obviously we've seen videos of people playing stones. And then there's always theories about Stonehenge being an acoustic arena, you know, like where the Romans used amphitheatre type of thing, and the sounds reflecting. Because originally I was going to call this the Stonehenge the voice of God. Did the ancients want to use this to talk to the creator in the sky, vibrate, sing, chant, and the sound gets funneled up into the sky to talk to the creator? Then you learn about the teeth, organ, meridian, and that makes more sense. Could people have been brought in to get healed in certain conditions, so the stones did certain jobs? And that just blew me away, because when you're researching it, pardon me, you find that, and again, what I say in here, it doesn't mean it's fact. You know what I mean? I don't want to keep saying these things. Some people get peed off about it, but if I don't say it, people say, you said that's fact, so you can't win. So They say they found skeletons buried beneath Stonehenge, and they had gold ornaments rolled and placed into the mouth. Now, I'm talking about Stonehenge being a mouth, and they're burying them like that. Wow. You know, because we saw the Egyptians with golden tongues, haven't we, as well? And then you're thinking about acoustics and sound and cymatics and ley lines. Did they move Stonehenge to go on a different ley line to do a different job? Did they know the power of these stones? And that's why they went to so much great length to move them. You know, these things are all up for debate. You know, were these places to be mind programmed? Because in ancient times, if you follow my channel and you've watched Westworld, they talk about the bicameral mind, where people heard the voice of God inside their head and they were taking that as, you know, God, and they lived their life by this voice. And people in villages lived by it in mass with the voice of God, supposedly. And was this the case of this, where you went to get reprogrammed? Different tunes, different frequencies. Like I said, we always talk about healing, but these places could have been used for another purpose. I've talked many times about the Pandora's box, the vocal chords, voc, VOC, voice of God, AL, and how the voice has twin foldings of 33. You saw the video, it's called The Secret. If you've not, check it out. There's so many videos on my content on my channel that people's minds will actually blow. They all think Paul just does Janos. Far from it. There's so much. Check it out. You know what I mean? It's so funny because I'm seeing people using my evidence to grow their channel, and it's all my theories. You know what I mean? To a T. It's not, you know what I mean? We can all have synchronicity. We've had this doing this video. People talking about Stonehenge and talking about something. It's common sense, you know what I mean? We all have synchronicity. But, you know, so on, and people are using it and they've got huge numbers. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, do you want to come to source and see the information for itself? It's just intriguing. Like I said, I do feel proud sometimes because, you know, that people feel, you know, my stuff's good enough to nick, which is cool. You know, so that's why I'm going to start, once I get more time. My computer's broken down. Some of the video I had to screen record because it wouldn't record my voice, and then it was all over the place. So, you know, we do the best we can, and again, we just try our best. So when we're talking of finding skeletons with this in the mouth, and gold obviously associated with the gods and so on, and conductivity and so on, it just makes you go and obviously gold is linked to number 11. It just makes you go, that's what I'm saying. So it doesn't mean it's fact. So we have all this evidence of people being found underneath, and there's not many of them. Was this just a one-off thing? Does it only work at a specific site on how they're laid out in regard to harmonics and acoustics? Because it just leads to the stories, doesn't it? What I'm trying to say, that it does look like a mouth. Then you have, so if you look at it from above, it does look like loads of little rings. But when people talk about giants, they always talk about how they're double rows of teeth. One of the earliest mentions of Stonehenge was Merlin and a giant building Stonehenge. Or, you know, giant's relative in it. How big's a giant? Because some of them are supposed to be miles high if you go by off the cubits of ancient times, down to 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet, 20 odd feet, and so on. Remember, I can't remember who pointed out to me that if you look at giant, Gian, Gian, is Janos' other name, John. Teen past tense giants. So giants are named after Janos, who was a giant. So these are the things that still I've not seen any challenge. You know, like I said, you don't have to say, "Oh, this is fact." It's not. It's just something cool. Do you know what I mean? To mention. So however could it be to simplify giants? And then when I'm playing old games like Assassin's Creed, Valhalla, when it's based in England, Ireland, and France, and we see these ancient monuments being linked to Nephilim, that's what it mentions in the game. Again, not fact. and you have to, and it's like a frequency based thing, you have to match up the patterns because they were painted, symbols were painted on them. But you know, when you, for instance, if you had, let's say for instance, there's the 4 stones, and if you look at a certain angle, that's how they were painted, and if you look at it straight, you can't see it, but if you're looking at it on an angle, 3D type of effect, and that's what they did in the game. And then when you did that, it activated and you gain, you know, some power. And I've always mentioned that, and the true story is of they were found and talked about by an Irish monk, if I remember, which is intriguing. And I'm talking about them using as a harmonics or organ type of thing. Healing could actually be giant teeth. You know, because we talk about biology now and rocks being one and the same. Could they actually have been giant teeth, and that was where the power led through them? Or did they just build it symbolically like teeth opened? You know, like the plan of the teeth. That's when I looked at it straight away, I thought, wow, that looks like teeth. So then you have to take on board that at the time, if it was built in ancient times, the North Star was Thuban. Now you can say, oh, it's not North Mama. It was Thuban. So Thuban is in the Draco constellation of Serpent the Dragon. And that is why you get a lot of serpent worship in antiquity, because of the North Star was in the Dragon constellation of Serpent, Draconis. So if you theorise that it was built in this net, was, you know, people talk about reptilians and different things. It does also, the mini stones do look like a set of teeth, snake teeth. So we have to look at different, you know, I know we do have a reptilian brain and so on. Is this like a reprogram? You hit different stones and it's a mind program, you know what I mean? A bit like, you know, when you watch Close Encounters and they do that song, do, do, you know, was it in a case of this and it reprograms something, the bicameral mind? I don't know. It's just theorising. And then obviously the altar stone matched your tonsils, and then you had stones just off the side. It could be, you know, like I said, your tonsils, the larynx and things at the side, if that's what they call it. I can't forget off my head. I should write things down, but I was just excited and I needed to get it out. So that just made me go, because we all have to have a wacky Paul theory in there somewhere that makes sense. And to me, it looks like a plan of teeth. Ancient Chinese and so on have the meridian, you know, the tooth meridian, and our teeth have nerves. Was this all placed to do that? And sometimes we have to think it's not always good, it could be bad as well. Was that the point of changing it and changing the format of stones to do something nefarious? Or were they trying to bring it back to do this technology and healing? See, all these things are up for debate, and that's just intriguing about this video. I just wanted to put you something out different on something that we all know about, but maybe have not researched into, because there's so many stuff to research. And then when we watch a video and it says it's built in 57, but you can show photographs at 20s and photographs at 1875 and so on. But where do we go? Do we not mention that? Do we not give people who are, you know, dipping the toe options to look at? And if it does sound like I'm being, he's attacking, I'm not. But I'm just fed up of people passing stuff off without showing an alternative. You know, it doesn't matter if you do a video. I could have done this video and just said, right guys, we've all seen them pictures and take it for granted. It's not built in 57, it's built in 20, and left it at that. Or just saying it's built at this time. I could have not mentioned that people believe it's this and others alternative. It's just how we make our content. I just want to give people more choices, and it's up to you to take the choice. Like I say, I try not to be controlling at all, you know what I mean? And some could say I'm trying to point people away from this, and you know, we're all entitled for our opinion, but it's all there in the video. I've not hidden from the fact that it looks dodgy. I've said it looks dodgy. I've talked about how coins and wine bottles were found in the 18th century. I've showed you articles saying that, and also showing you that it's been renovated on countless occasions, more than people actually think. There was an air base there. The flying corps were there. So much has gone on around this place that we just don't know. And sometimes we are scared of putting a theory out there. People would talk about giants a lot. I know, and could it be linked to the giants? Could it be linked to Nephilim? Could it be linked to this? Could it be nothing? Could it just be an ancient site as a calendar like, the old people talk about? And then you have the wooden henges and different things. But everything when it piles up to me, piles together, looks like it's used as like an acoustic area in regard to sound and energy. Like I said, energy talks about, you talk about ley lines. Ley lines are like acupuncture, and that's why the Chinese use them as meridians, teeth to the organs, and like so-called with acupuncture, needle in a certain area, that path leads to a certain organ and so on, and alleviates and opens up the flow of energy. So is it a case of Stonehenge could be acupuncture for the earth? Put a stone in a certain location, resists or clears or blocks certain energy from going that way. Is that what they've thought about? Oh, you know what, there's a ley line that goes through there. Can we put something on to block that energy ley line and harness it into that area? Again, it's just intriguing things, and I just thought that. I don't know why I didn't put that in the video, but you can see my point. We just don't know. Will we ever know? I doubt it. And there'll always be people putting the big clickbait titles, Stonehenge finally revealed to be this. It can be anything. It can also be fake, but is it an old fake, or is it just the modern society faking what was there, changing its agenda, changing the plan of what it actually was? And that's what we just have to look at. Oh wow, 1 hour 10 thoughts, and I've got the video to go and talk. Why this is a long video. I can really talk about something that I'm invested in. And again, I've talked about it on lives. If you've not caught them, my last live, I used to be able to walk around the area, walk on Salisbury Plain nearby. It was when I lived there. I'm assuming it's not changed. It was an army test range, for troops. And on days when they're not doing it, we could, go through it with my dad. And I was finding Roman coins, pottery, and so on. That's where I picked up my bug for history. You know what I mean? And it's always been intriguing because I've not done it for a few years because I've got into this, but I used to do metal detect as well, and I found some good finds. Good finds. You know what I mean? And that's always intrigued me. How does that tie into people talking about mud flood and different things? Why does certain areas? I'm finding I've got a 700-year-old hammered coin, and it was like that deep, and then yet in some areas it's that deep. You know what I mean? So these are just intriguing questions to ask. But I don't want to fall into a trap of saying everything is this, everything is this. You know what I mean? That's why I try don't do stuff on Janus, because I don't want everyone to think, he's just saying it this for this purpose. I want to try and broaden people's horizons on any topic that I cover, especially with this. I don't want people to think, it's definitely not built on 57. Why is he saying, but giving people the option, if you still think it's that, because you think everything else is fake, cool. But when you pass on the information and show people, please have the thing to say, people, right guys, I believe this, but still, that makes you look better. You're giving people an option, and people are not getting the option. It's this, and it's fake, it's his story. Why is it called history? Because it's his story. It's tied to Janus. We don't get that. There's just me and a few other people now who are using, the stuff, and you guys who's passing on, because the amount of people who tagging me now and different things and show me, you guys, give yourself a pat on the back and a hug, a virtual hug. Come here, do you want a kiss? You know what I mean? Get a hug. Come on. You know what I mean? So give yourself credit, guys. It's you can't beat the sheep, you can't beat the black sheep, because the flock rock. We do, guys. You know what I mean? And again, people, don't call yourself sheep. Why not? I'm not scared of calling them whatever. I'm a black sheep. I always will be. But now my new one is What the Flock TV. incorporating the Black Sheep Researcher times. And again, if you want to see old videos, I'm on the Black Sheep Researcher on Odyssey. They're the really old videos when before I start getting better portraying what I'm trying to get out, but still there's some good videos in there, so please check that out. And What the Flock TV on Odyssey, people want to see stuff. I put the video on there I got booted off YouTube because of certain words. Please check that out. But check, there's loads of I've just started putting other spell etymologies that I've not put on here, so go and check it out. People are always asking me for other works and different things. What the Flock TV Odyssey, check it out. Subscribe to my channel. Still, I think there's like 40% of people don't subscribe to me who watch the content. Subscribe, like the comment, you know what I mean? It makes me know that you guys appreciate what you're seeing, you know what I mean? And obviously comments is hit and miss with YouTube. So the main point of this video was just to show you more perspectives on what Stonehenge could be, other theories to containing a roof, and so on, and leave it up to you guys to decide. But please be, like minded in the sense of, if you believe it's this, it's cool, but please give people the option. You know what I mean? It just makes you look a better researcher and more, dependable person. Obviously you can't put 10 theories in a video all the time to cover everyone's topic. It can't, you know what I mean? But when we're passing on things, when you're talking to people, just say, hey, this is another theory that it was on. It just, the broader the picture, the better it's going to be. So it's intriguing to me, and I believe the purpose of it was changed because of its healing power, or, you know what I mean? I still look to the mind control type of thing with tones, because when we use Gregorian chants and different, so you go into a trance, and yes, you can heal, but also you can do good. Now, do we always look to the bad route? Why is it not always good? Exactly. You know what I mean? But it's just me giving a different perspective. And it's intriguing. And this area has a lot of barrows. Was it something to contact the dead? Do you know what I mean? Did it incorporate the calendar? Who's in charge of the calendar? Is this things to talk to the dead or to the gods, as I was going to call it? Who knows? But I'll leave that up to you guys. And again, I'm on Twitter, What the Flock TV, but it's a capital F. I've not got my phone to show you the highlight. I did put it in the community tab. I'm on What the Flock TV on Odyssey and What the Flock TV on Instagram. Come and see what stuff I post every day. I love the support, because, it's my energy. I use it to, when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling drained because of what I do, seeing a kind word, gets me emotional and gets me fired up. People really do, like watching the content. You know what I mean? I'm not just, talking to myself. So guys, again, the description, what I didn't mention before was that book, the 1916 one of Stonehenge with a few of the drawn in. I will put that in the description. It's a good read. I try and read as much as I can, but I find it hard because obviously I'm dyslexic, and how my brain works is I see a line and I just get like, wow, that's this, and I'm off. And that's what happened with this video. Doing this led me to something else that, I want to work on it, and that's huge. A different perspective, and that's going to blow people's mind because I'm like fried. So please find me on those channels. If you feel that you need to help me more, just like, share and subscribe, and buy me a coffee, all in the description. Like with that book, all in the description. And then please check out the other channels that I have called the 11th Hour, that I do a rider. That's why we did a live the other day. If you've not checked that out yet, check out the live section on the playlist. It was a really good chat, and hopefully you've enjoyed this video. So like, share and subscribe. Everything's in the comments. Always with a smile. Get them teeth showing. And thank you for the love and the support. Right, I'll see you in the premiere. It's going to be a big one, this. So don't fall asleep. Get your coffee, get your stuff ready. And thank you for the support. and hopefully you can see this video is meant not to offend anyone. But if you get offended, tough tits, you know, that's your prerogative. We're all entitled. So guys, stay safe, always wear a smile, don't let the bastards get us down, and I'll see you in the chat. Bye guys.